So like I said, COVID-19 has taught the world many lessons and forces us basically to address the gaps very fast. And one lesson learned is that the private sector, which is the engine of growth of the nation, needs to be powered by STI. Yes, we have 98% SME in the country. These SME need to realize that if they don't move into STI, then they are also going to be closing down. So for this to happen, it is imperative that RDCI must be linked to socio-economic development to ensure that Malaysia will show growth in socio-economic growth, will show resilience and also competitiveness. So, like all countries in the world, Malaysia is also in need of an economic recovery plan post-COVID-19. Almost 300 billion have been spent under Penjana or whatever to make sure that we can combat COVID-19. But how much more do the government need to spend? So basically, we need to have an economic recovery plan fast, right? And the question, however, is how fast we can move this plan. But this time around, it requires total government approach. No more working in silo. The ministries need to collaborate and work on the same page, same national, same mission, right? So to move innovation-based economy and provide the chance for fast economic recovery, of course, we have to do research. This is where we come in. This is where we now contribute to the economic recovery plan. And of course, whatever I have to say, there is a need to us to do foresight in order to be prepared for the future and remain resilient and competitive. So, bottom line is that we need impact-driven research powered by STI in order to, as a way forward, to move Malaysia's high-tech industry and enhance the quality of life of the rakyat. But we must learn one thing, it's no longer just about STI. COVID-19 has taught us to create return of values, right? So when we start talking about values, not just ROI, let's talk about values. Science and technology alone, we understand, will not be able to solve all the problem, but rather it will need now the integration with the solution that we now provide post-COVID-19 should now show the integration of the arts, the science, the technology, the humanities, the social sciences, and even religion in order to provide a more holistic, a more dynamic solution and for the country and also to work in a collaborative manner. So let me digress a little bit to talk to you about impactful research. So far, we have been emphasizing outputs. I mean, why talk about impact now? I mean, all this while we've been talking about output. Even the deans and vice chancellors receive KPI that is seeking for output. So why talk about impact now? So let's go back to basic. Ask the question, what is the purpose of doing research? Research is done in order to enhance innovation and provide solution that threatens humanity. Okay, that's the answer. And most, if not all, researchers are motivated by the fact that their research would eventually contribute or make a difference to the world. Otherwise, why bother to do this kind of research? It's not for your own benefit. This is now to be able to contribute. Listen to the words, able to contribute or make a difference in the world. And therefore, to make a difference, I think it's high time now that we create impact against the SDG. So, impact is the effect that research has beyond academia, and it must be demonstrable, evidence-based. So impact now is no longer about how to develop the vaccine or did you make the finding or discovery of the biomarkers to make the vaccine, but it's rather whether the newly developed vaccine was able to reduce the spread of the disease among the population. So we are not just about how, we are not about the discovery of the biomarker, we are about if you now make that vaccine, is that vaccine effective? That is what impact driven is all about. So it's not about the process, but about the results. Therefore, it will shift from pure research excellence towards a focus on research dissemination and awareness beyond academia. So impact matters because it will help now for us to focus on what is the overall purpose of doing the research rather than the process of research. And it will help to ensure the best return on investment and values, not just ROI. But unfortunately, whoever that does the research evaluators also needs a paradigm shift, because all research evaluators, every research grant will always ask, of what benefit is that research? And of course, as something that we do, we will write about what is the benefit under the coconut tree, and we will have that saved in some database somewhere. We copy paste each time. And the evaluators also don't pay attention to what is the benefit. What are they paying attention to? How do you do it, right? The entire methodology, is it robust enough? Does it fulfill the objective? This essentially is what we have been looking at all this while, and no wonder we are not showing impact. So never mind, there is the before, pre-COVID, post-COVID, a lot of things have got to change. And there are two kinds of impact that we want to see: the academic impact and the societal impact. And we need to move now from expected impact to real world impact. So if you talk about academic impact, this is what we've been doing all this while, that we have a demonstrable contribution. This is what we do, right? Our KPI is about what are the demonstrable contribution to academic impact, which includes dissemination of knowledge via quality conferences that we attend, whether we are a keynote speaker or not, publications in academic journals, Q1, Q2, and then of course we want to go for high age index citation, and we want to go for the impact factor papers, and we want to deliver research group seminars. So we are doing this from before till now, and the activities above, however, are not enough to create a tangible change. That does not mean you are not publishing. Don't get me wrong, okay? This is still important. Academic impact is very important because it's a journey of quality. So the higher, the more you can publish in a very good journal, that means the kind of work that you're doing is of quality, because you need quality to be transferred now to the rakyat. So we have to, but the academic impact is not enough to create tangible change. Why? Because they have limited reach and restricted only to academic audience, and it does not go beyond academia. So post COVID-19, however, we see now this webinar like today, you know, you can reach out to a lot more people by YouTube, by Facebook. So a lot more people can be hearing this particular talk. And very important now, there's democratization of knowledge, because now we don't have to pay for registration fees for conferences and so on. So basically we have to ask the question, why do we continue to do academic impact, right? Because it is convenient and it's very easy to measure the output. So and of course merits are still by means of publication. But the question is easy to write laporan tahunan. It's easy for the deans to answer the KPI. It's easy for VC to answer laporan tahunan and give it to Parliament, because it's something that we can measure, we can control, right? But the question we need to ask is that if we do all these things, who are we trying to educate? Are we trying to educate more of our academic, our peers, or are we trying to now make a change and create awareness to the public? So the correct answer is both, right? What we do as knowledge generator, we need to now create this impact and educate both our peers and also the public. So most of the time when asked regarding impact, we would show expected impact. That means if we ask the vaccine, is it expected to reduce the spread of disease? We will say yes, it can reduce the spread of the disease by X%. Basically, we are expecting, we are not even trying to do this vaccine trial. So if we continue to do this over and over again, right, the rakyat for sure will not benefit from what we do. And to them, we have not created a sustainable change in their lives, nor in their livelihood. And industry also continue not to come to look for us for answers and solutions, and because they simply do not benefit from us. So let us now be reminded, ladies and gentlemen, that as researchers, what is our amanah? What is our responsibility? Because our role as knowledge generator is basically to contribute and enhance wealth creation and societal well-being. So basically we need now to create knowledge for change, not knowledge transfer, but knowledge for change, right? So we need to now move both impact factor and real impact. So it's not just about publication and age index, it's also about what have you done, the wisdom, right, of changing this knowledge into something of benefit. As Mark Twain says, knowledge becomes wisdom only after it has been put to good use. So when we talk now about impact of research in the current paradigm of thinking, it is imperative that we increase the impact in the real world rather than simply just within the academic community. So performance of impactful research is usually a complex interaction between the quadruple helix, right? The academia, the industry, the government, the civil society. And is more difficult to measure. In Malay, is banyak leceh, and therefore is something that nobody wants to do very well because it cannot be done every year. It cannot be done every 3 years. It needs time, right? And this is where it is an inconvenience to do this kind of measurement. But this is what the rakyat really needs. And this is what the nation really needs. This is what's going to drive the engine of growth of the country. So basically, we are all clever people. It's high time that we also change. So we need now to move to real impact because the future of research is looking for KRI, key results indicator. That means impact, ladies and gentlemen, rather than just KPI, which is just performance. So therefore, this mindset change that we need, therefore, there is a need for paradigm shift about how this research is to be conducted, what kind of skills do we need to perform impactful research, and what will be the new promotion criteria as the incentive? Because if the promotion criteria is still number of papers, it's not going to make any change in the country. Because as researcher, we continue to just follow what the KPI for promotion is all about. And this is also the time for community engagement to be enhanced because as you see, shared prosperity vision require community participation. And the need to move the engine of growth for the country, academia industry needs to be enhanced. So research funding also needs to change with the new thinking because it cannot be just for convenience of to write laporan tahunan or to give you the impact of KPI. It's about how impact is monitored, demonstrated, evaluated. It will need 5 to 10 years. So this has to be a new game in town. And the criteria used for university rankings also need to change, right? Like what we are seeing now is the Times Higher Education University Impact Rankings against SDG. But if you don't like ranking, perhaps there is a need for us to also look at some equivalent academic rating that you can now use. So basically, what I would like to share with you today is that Academy Science have been given the mandate to suggest change for the research landscape of the country, not research landscape for MOSTI or for MOHE or for, but the whole overarching research landscape for the country. And we need to have this done before the next 12 master plan. So, talk about the economic recovery. So for fast economic recovery, STI has to be integrated into every sector of the economy to ensure competitiveness in our quest to emerge as a thriving economy in the innovation era. And whatever this is a mouthful to say, but it's not something that can be done by one person or small group of person, but it has to be done by the country working in collaboration and not working in isolation. So the time has come for research endeavors in Malaysia to be coordinated and implemented via a vast network of people with various expertise working in a collaborative ecosystem. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I would like to share with you the Malaysian 10-10 STIE or My STIE framework, and to share with you the 30 national STIE niche area, which as researcher, you all need to be prepared for because that will be the ball game for the next RMK 12. And this is also part of Malaysia's answer to economic recovery. to transform Malaysia into a knowledge-based intensive economy by design and move us up the global innovation value chain. In order to do that, I think it's not something new, all right? We all know that at the end of the day, we have to create impact. It's just that even Myra asked us for the grand challenge, the last part, the impact. We are not just about the triple helix, we are quadruple helix, right? So we know we have to address the gap between the socio-economic goal and the R&D priority. So we understand that, but the question is, how are we going to do this, right? So we need to link our STI priorities and also with the socio-economic development, but we don't really know how. And this is where we now come up with the how. And that how is a 10-10 STIE framework, all right, on how the motherboard and how now we can have all these things done in a cross-cutting manner across all ministries. So how do we come about this? This is suggested by Academy Science for the country. So how do we come about to this? This is when we asked the VC of Datuk Rahim, who is also a fellow of Academy Science, to lead the study on what are the emerging science and technology and engineering areas for 2015 up to 2050. Because like I said, we want to be prepared for the future. We need to do foresighting so that when we as deans or as VC plan for the talent of the future, we now know which area to send that person to acquire the knowledge so that when they come back, it will fulfill the vacuum that is there in the department or faculty. So we studied this and they came up with 5 areas that will move the world, this is not just Malaysia, but the world from 2015 to 2050. And these 5 areas are in biotech, green tech, nanotech, digital technology, and neurotech. So if you are into any of these techs, then I think you are okay. But if you're not into these techs, you still can contribute. So from this study, ESET study, we came up with 95 technologies that will now is in sync with Malaysia's strength that will now move the country. 95 technology. Who can remember 95 technology when we can't even remember what we ate last night? So bottom line is that we need now to say, okay, 95 technology, great. But this is where now Professor Mahendran and the Monash team and together with ASM now say, okay, maybe we should now move and link this to what's going to be the socio-economic drivers of the country so that we can now create an impact. So how we do this is that we look now at the global patent analysis of all this technology. Because it's not about patent attain. Patent attain means it's going to be blasé after 10, 15 years. What we want to see is which of the technology has got the highest patent pending. So because this will be the one that will explode 5 or 10 years from now. So this is when we start to combine all this, we find that this is the 10-10 Malaysian STIE framework. So what is the 10 technology that will now happen? This is from the world. This will be the technology that will drive the world. And that will be in 5G, 6G, sensor technology, 4D, 5D printing, advanced material, advanced AI, of course, cybersecurity, encryption, data analytic and augmented analytics, blockchain is a big one, neurotech, and then bioscience technology. So this will be the science and technology driver that is not about Malaysia alone, but will move the world as well. So, but the thing is, for Malaysia, if you now focus on this technology should drive what? So this is now very focused to Malaysia's socio-economic driver. Right? We talk about what are the 10 socio-economic driver. We have energy, business and financial, culture, arts and tourism, medical and healthcare. So all those people in medical and healthcare, you don't have to worry. Money is always there for you, right? Because it's also part of the 10-10. Then we have the smart technology, smart engineering and manufacturing, smart cities and transport, water and food, agriculture and forestry, education, of course, is another one there. and environment and biodiversity. So all these 1010 STIE is actually approved by the National Science Council endgame in July and are now approved by Cabinet in 2020, and inshallah will now go into RMK12. So that is why I'm sharing with you so that you are now more prepared about what's going to happen in the country in RMK12. So how do you read 1010? Basically, is basically with 1010, we are saying, okay, if you are now a center of excellence that is moving 5G, 6G, what's the beauty of all this is that you can drive any of these 10 socio-economic driver, right? If you're in 5G, 6G, you can move energy, you can move business, you can move culture, but to move 5G, 6G, you need both fundamental and applied. So it's no longer about just translational. To enhance 5G, 6G, you need both fundamental and applied in order to be able to do this, right? But if you want to now say, okay, I just want to move agriculture and forestry. If you want to move agriculture and forestry as a socio-economic driver, you now realize you have to combine all of these 10 technology in order to drive the agriculture and whatnot. If you want to drive medical and healthcare, you need to use for 5G, 6G, 5D printing, AI, cybersecurity. You need to combine all this in order to be able to move medical and healthcare. So I will show you how this can be done later. So, and this is what you need to know. What are the niche areas that is going to be driving Malaysia forward in RMK12? So in terms of energy, we have diversified renewable energy and all that. So more important in terms of medical and health, digital health, precision medicine, and clinical trials. These will be the three niche areas that will receive funding, inshallah, for to move. So basically R&D in these areas would be the way to go forward. In terms of engineering, the IR 4.0 in terms of the advanced material, next generation smart factories, manufacturing of smart devices will be the one forward. And in terms of food and water, we have the halal, the local superfood, and integrated water resources management. Of course, all of us are in education. Where should we be and concentrating on? So this personalized and experiential learning. That is why we say micro-credential is very important now, and global online learning to promote local content. And if we're into environment and biodiversity, we are now moving precision biodiversity and innovative eco products from waste. So what we see, we have even subdivided the national niche area into economic booster or for societal well-being or for both, right? So you can see how that you want to go for the dual impact enabler because it can go for economy and it can also go for societal well-being. So that is what we have done. Okay, so far that I have said, it still does not yet bring whatever innovation that we have done to the rakyat, does it? Because it's the same, still RDCI that we were talking about with the framework. But the framework now, we have to ask the question, what is so different this time around? So with my STIE, it is not just about the technology driver and the socioeconomic driver, but it's about one more, how to bring that innovation now to the rakyat, so to complete the story, right? So of course you're going to ask what is different this time around if we now introduce my 1010 STIE. This time around, we are going to do an analysis. This is called the 8I Innovation Helix Model for Ecosystem Analysis, which means that you simply do not take your product and just go to any locality that you want. It has to have the backup of infrastructure, the intellectual capital, the people, the talent in this area. Do you have the governance to make sure that it can happen? Do you have the incentive to make sure and drive it? Do you have the quality institutions like universities, polytechnics, and community colleges around there that will help you, and RIs if possible? Do you have very good collaboration between the academia industry to move this agenda? And finally, is it good enough to go to international, and what does it take to go to international? So we need to now analyze this first before we can bring the product. And this time around, to bring anything to make sure it consolidates as an industry for wealth creation and also to enhance the livelihood of the people to create knowledge for change, there is a need for a collaborative platform to be there. We need the connectors, the producers, the technology provider, the finance group, the standards and regulation, are they there? We need to have the entire supply chain built, market accessibility and capacity building. So all this needs to be there as well. Finally, we will bring them to the locality, right? And this is Malaysia, showing the entire game for Malaysia, for what part of Malaysia is good for what industry and what product should need to go there. So that if we now can you see this? Because this let me show to you. This is how now at the end of the day the application of the 1010 My STIE plan will then move to every location, that will move that particular socio-economic sector that is relevant to that area, all right, in order to enhance the value chain. So this is a Malaysian example of dynamic diversity and future research by design. So I show you now, if you are in UKM, you are in Selangor area. So basically, if you want to do this, this is the kind of technology and the kind of socio-economy that will now be there. Like in Sabak Bernam, you have agriculture, biotech, smart agriculture. So we have layered this. Like Putrajaya, of course, that's the diplomatic. Sepang, Kuala Klang is agriculture. Cyberjaya will be ICT, telecommunication, etc. Seremban will be the aerospace. Rembau will be tourism, etc. So all this is layered with what is the local system, what are the universities that are there, the TVET institutions that are there to now move. So you can see now is by design to move certain area, certain, of course this is Penang. Penang has got a lot more going for it in terms of the manufacturing of the EE, because it's got all the necessary background in order to be able to move. So we have done this for each corridor. So if there are people from Sabah or people from Sarawak, we will share with you the different sectors that will now move. Okay, why do I show to you all this? Because if you are now a researcher and you want to move certain thing, now you know where to go and which company to collaborate with, because you need to know that if you are moving now EE, then it's better for you to move in Penang, because if this is the area that you're working with. If you're into halal, then this is another area that you want to go. So I will share with you halal after this. So this is now by design. So you sort of know now where to go and get people to collaborate. Okay, so now this is the entire 1010, but let me now show to you how now you can see 1010 helping you in terms of moving way forward in terms of, let's say, using now 1010 for medical and healthcare, okay, using My STIE as a guiding framework. If you look at the evolution of medicine, is going now from past, which is intuition medicine, where we look at signs and symptoms, to the present, which is evidence-based medicine, where we're moving for clinical trials, etc. But the future of medicine is moving to precision medicine, and this is where algorithms now start to come in. And that's why I said medical people alone are not enough. You need now the 5G, 6G, you need the data analytics, you need the digital people to also come in. But the future is now moving for personalized, for predictive, for preventive, and participatory kind of medicine. So if that is the case, that is why the niche area to move this is now there for digital health, for precision medicine, for drugs and medical treatment, so that it's no longer about one size fits all, but it's about creating this particular genetic base to have now precision medicine happen. It will not happen overnight. The paper written by Professor Datuk Rahman Jamal from UKM that leads for precision medicine. Perhaps you should call him to give a talk on precision medicine, where it's heading. But good news today, we now see that the DG of Health, rather Ministry of Health, has now approved, ladies and gentlemen, for precision medicine as the way forward, championed by the Ministry of Health. So if Rahman Jamal was listening, this is a good opportunity now, because it looks like it's being taken up by the Ministry of Health to move precision medicine for RMK12. So you have the backing. So therefore, UKM, be prepared, because you have Rahman Jamal there, but there's a lot of people in precision medicine who is also should now be prepared to move this particular agenda. The next one that is going to be up and coming will be the clinical trial. So I know a lot of you are already GCP trained, but this is the time, because CRM will now be tasked to bring in clinical trial. So Malaysia is now moving to be a hub in the region for clinical trials. So another one that I've always said to IUM or UIA is that to move Sharia compliant clinical trial, but it doesn't have to stop at UIA. It can also be in collaboration with UKM or USM or any of the universities that is ready for clinical trial. So Sharia compliant is another niche area to go into. This is how you use my 1010 STIE, how to think, right? Basically, these are the 10 technologies that I have said before. So if you now want to move for medical and health care, just to catch up with what is current, what is there in the medical field right now, you need to, for example, do like smart ambulance that will transmit real-time patient data as you are transporting the patient. And this will require technology 1, technology 5, which is AI, and technology 7, which is augmented analytics and data discovery. So if you now want to make 3D, 4D printed respirators, face shields, etc., you require technology 3D printing. But if you now want to have encryption of cloud computed data and patient care, you need the collaboration of 1, 6, and 7. So what we are trying to say to you here is that these are kind of things that we have already examined that will now be, this is not prescribing, this is suggestion. So a lot of people don't have to think, you just take up this particular slide, you know what you need to do. But if you want to think further, you can of course be more clever and incorporate that in your particular field. But if you now want to leapfrog, right, then that means to prepare, let's say UKM for the future in terms of medical and healthcare, look at what we have also suggested to have intelligent contact tracing and pandemic monitoring system using swarm technology and network analysis. And to do that, you need the combination of technology 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Meaning to say, bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, nobody can work in isolation now. To create something for the R&D of the future as a solution, we need to collaborate beyond our laboratories. So that's why networking now becomes a very important factor. And whatever that you have generated in terms of R&D for the medical and health will be able to spill over and actually touch base with smart city or water and food security or business and financial services. So it will spill over to other as well. So the next one is to share with you perhaps. You see, medical, there is also convergence. But now let me share with you something that is not listed as a socio-economic driver. You see, this is the problem. People are worried that if their area of research is not spelled out as a socio-economic driver, then maybe they are not getting funding. But let me show to you how now we don't have to spell out everything, but we use this as a guideline, right? As a guideline, and share with you what is not listed as a socio-economic driver, but is showing convergence of knowledge, right? Big time. And I will show you, and you'll be surprised because what I'm showing to you is halal economy and how it can help in the economic recovery plan post-COVID-19 as long as it is guided by the 10-10 My STIE framework. So, of course, we have to, you know, same page here, what is halal? Halal is used to describe anything permissible under Islamic law. But total halal market is RM 21 trillion, many zeros there, by 2030. And Malaysia now is capturing only 475 billion, which is only 2.26 of the world's halal market. And halal products and services includes all the food, beverage, cosmetic, pharmaceuticals, medical devices, cosmetics, and personal care, clothing, financial services, production, packaging, handling, the whole works in the halal supply chain, branding, logistics, etc. All part and parcel of halal. But so far, our myopic mindset is always saying that halal is only about food and beverage, right? No, it goes beyond that. But in terms of F&B, it will signify as the most hygienic manner that meets international food standards and should be universally accepted. Basically, if you use halal as a benchmark, it will be now the benchmark for food safety worldwide. And halal is mostly connected, as I said, to food and beverage, but today this is no longer the case. Halal is now a universal concept. Right, post COVID-19, everywhere you touch base, fashion industry, whatever that you want to talk about is now moving towards sustainability, towards cleanliness, no effect on climate change, etc. So it covers halal, if you can envision, it covers behavior, speech, dressing, conduct, manner, laws, animal welfare, social justice, sustainability, environment, and finance. So it goes beyond that. So the wholesomeness of halal is that it not only covers the Sharia compliant aspect, but also the sustainability concept of hygiene, sanitation, food safety, and healthy lifestyle. In fact, it covers our lifestyle, and it will now encompass society, environment, and economy. And therefore, SDG, it also covers the elements of SDG. And especially post-COVID, people are now more concerned about quality, about safety, about cleanliness, and whether it's affecting climate change, carbon emission, and sustainability. So now, suddenly, halal now is a global outlook and is a lifestyle of choice, right? And therefore, this is the new organic product that people worldwide are willing to pay premium prices for. So halal is no longer just limited to the Muslim world market. It is now a premium product and therefore should now go global. And what I'm saying is that not halal is now, halal market has captured now the attention of Muslim and non-Muslim countries, and they have captured this big time in UK, in China, USA, in Thailand and Japan and Brazil. You know, Brazil is now the world's second top exporter of halal meat and poultry. All right, so this is something that we need to be wary about, because when they start to come in and they start to use science and technology to now move the halal industry, Malaysia better be able to catch up. In fact, in the recent 12th World Halal Conference recently in this particular month, we are still in October, right? So 6 October of 2020, the Prime Minister Mahyudin Yassin speech, as read by Datuk Sri Mustafa Muhammad, which is the Minister for EPU, says that halal, which denotes everything that is permissible and safe, embodies every inherent universal value that is good and wholesome, from sustainability to restoring the health of the people and the planet, the care of the animal and the environment, fair trade, ethical consumerism. Halal is the perfect answer to how the world can manage direct consequences of COVID-19 crisis and come out better and stronger. Wow, this is a strong statement. So therefore, in his speech, he also advocated for what is the way forward for halal economy in Malaysia. So this is what is now punca kuasa perhaps, to now say we are moving up the value chain in terms of halal to now become a high-tech, knowledge-based, capital-intensive powerhouse, incorporating design as well as research and development. So from halal product traceability to Islamic finance facilities, Malaysia is now able to provide end-to-end halal service. Well, this is a big mouthful. Good to see that it's moving to the next level. Of course, what is not mentioned is how people do we go about this. Again, this is how we now would like to show to you how we use the my 1010 STI 1010 STI my STIE to now show how we can apply the technologies that we say, the 10 technologies within the halal supply chain, and on top of that create spillover effects on the adjacent sectors as well. So like if you're looking at what you call AI-driven ethical precision farming, so that all with this AI-driven precision, then all the if you are into meat industry, it will now be precisely monitoring and basically feeding the animal that is not gaining weight, and to make sure it gains weight, and don't feed the animal that is too fat too much, right? So everything, the yield will be okay. So this is again how we do this with blockchain, with all this sensor technology, for using nanoparticles and biosensor for rapid halal authentication along the supply chain. But what's more important is that with halal, blockchain now comes into very strongly. So that we can now authenticate the entire value chain during the process of halal to make sure it's STIE. So this is the kind of game changer that we now see, that a strong halal ecosystem in Malaysia will now translate to every of this spillover. In fact, when we test run, we were surprised that the halal essentially can go into all of these 1010 my STIE that we have now advocated. In fact, if you now ask where does halal go into all the niche area, the 30 niche area, the ones that we cover reds, you see almost every part of the niche area has now is touching base with halal directly or indirectly with halal. So this means that the halal, essentially, if we move halal economy, it can also be a possible moonshot for to change the country. And this is to show to you, if we now, what do you mean by halal? If you now say you want to move halal in terms of energy, we are looking at now renewable energy, because halal means not to have the environment polluted with carbon dioxide and create a problem with climate change. So we are asking now to move to renewable energy, clean energy like hydrogen. It can also move the business and financial services, because this is where fintech now needs to come in. And in terms of culture, arts and tourism, if we can now use our halal JAKIM logo to now authenticate hotels, food, restaurants, etc., that will bring in people to come in. And medical and healthcare, of course, we're looking at halal vaccine, halal medical therapies and nutraceuticals, and of course, Sharia compliant clinical trials, and not to forget halal Sharia compliant hospitals, smart technology systems, and so on. I think I can go on and on this, but what we want to show to you is that in terms of education, this is where we need the researchers from everywhere to now start to talk about micro-credential development regarding how do we do packaging, how do we do this, how do we do that. There's a lot of questions being asked, and this is something that our lecturers should be able to now produce for the halal aspect. So the strong halal ecosystem in Malaysia will translate into several multiplier impacts on the socio-economic driver. And you can see now how halal is being, the technologies are being used as part and parcel of the entire halal value chain. So by using blockchain and all these other technologies that we have. So for sure, having the use of blockchain will prevent frauds happening with halal certification. And this is where Malaysia, which has a very strong footing as far as international recognition is concerned with our JAKIM and halal logo, if we now combine that with blockchain, we will make sure there is no fraud coming on with JAKIM or halal certification. And not only that, how we now touch base with halal. This is now the map to show how we can bring halal to the localities. And I've highlighted to you now the various areas that is prime and ready to now, which is by 8i innovation helix analysis, that is now ready to be able to move in terms of halal and halal food industry. So that by showing to you how something that is not on the 10-10 socioeconomic, if you use the framework, it can still lead you to become a game changer for the country. So ladies and gentlemen, let me end by saying that I know we have gone through many ideas. Malaysia is very good with the master plan. We have gone through that, the data planning, and then we however implement not very well. We have a lot of planning, master plan brilliant, but implementation not very well. And even before we finish what we want to do, we start again with new ideas, new plans, etc. So perhaps this is the time we just follow what Nike asks us to do. Just do it, right? No need to think about whatever in the future. Just do it, because I think it's high time Rakyat is looking for the impact of what our knowledge that we have generated can do. Because, ladies and gentlemen, what you do has greater impact than what you say. So with that, I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Asma, for the very, I think, very concise, knowledge on the, the roadmap of the post-COVID economy recovery for the Malaysia. I have actually now we have 3 questions. Can I start that, Prof?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So first question is, it why our local innovations facing difficulty to penetrate the market? Even local market, is it failure from the proof of concept stage or any other constraint?
I think at the end of the day, recognition for Malaysia's innovation product. Malaysia is good for tourism, but in terms of STI based innovation, the things that I have to go through for my diagnostic, there's a lot of skepticism, number one. Number two, you have to do a lot of trials, proof of concept. For every, let's say for diagnostic, you have to do it with IMR. MR say okay, but that doesn't mean the hospitals will buy. So there is no like a national, that's why I say you need this, the collaborative ecosystem, like I said, the technology, the finance, the provider, the whole collaborative ecosystem need to be there. Like if you now have a product and this product now goes to you, all right, and you evaluated it and you find that this product is good, how now do you now make sure and facilitate this product now to go into the Malaysian market? So that essentially is not there. And we also don't have the incentive buy Malaysia first. Like, post-COVID, this is the time to change, because India is doing that. Buy Malaysia first. When you buy Malaysia first, maknanya the industries, the companies, etc., will now look at Malaysia's technology. I mean, look at RU. We have so many patents that is not off the shelf. All right. So doesn't mean we are not creating something new, but it's just that licensing is not happening. So because the system, the ecosystem is not there to facilitate commercialization of R&D for our product. So it's high time that that's why, as I said, the overarching RDCIE policy must be in place to make sure all this now happen, and then inshallah the products that we now have commercialized, licensed to the company can now be able to take off. So I will have to say that the question is addressing the entire ecosystem which needs to be in place before you now see consolidation of our product as like I said, our industry needs indigenous technology, right? Indigenous means coming from us, but without a system in place, the ecosystem in place, one company cannot make a difference as well. So that's the thing.
Yes. So the second question would be, is it possible that R&D investment by Malaysia is limited to the government while the private companies invest very little in R&D?
No, that is not what we want. What we want, that is why I keep on saying, right now it's mainly government. So we need industry to come in. That's how Korea, Japan, UK, Singapore is doing, because the industry starts to come in, right? So when industry starts to come in, then the money now is more lah, to be able to move. And that's why industry is very low, we got about 14.6, like I said, whereas others are getting more than 50% over. So this is why we need the industry to come in. And how can they come in when we also do not collaborate with them? And this is why I say we have to bridge the chasm between the industry and academia, not just academia, RIs also. And when we bridge, make sure whatever we do, we also now see, to me, when I look at post-COVID-19, how lucky we are. We have an umbrella, right? We have salaries at the end of the month. But our engine of growth, which is the private sector, have nothing. Do it or die. So this is the time that we say now, insaf lah, that we now have the ability to do that. We should now go out there and say, let me help you. Because this is the time we now say, forget about this bridge, forget about this lack of trust. This is now moving the country, helping everybody as a nation. So we need to now be able to help. So this is why I say, I think it's high time that we look into our research that is able now to link and help and collaborate and help move the SME. Our SME is 98%. They need our help. But if we now continue to say, okay, you want help from us, put down 10 million, put down 5 million, put down 3 million, like what our companies are asking, I think post-COVID, nobody is going to be able to put in that kind of million. So let's talk about collaboration, and that together we move the agenda. So maybe there's a shift in thinking. I know universities also want to generate income, and this is how we do it. But how we do it is not going to be able to move the agenda at all now. Everybody is not having that kind of money.
So the bottom line is we have to talk to each other lah, basically. Dato', just now it's quite not to say surprise lah. It's a shock thing that product innovation, patent application per capita, knowledge creation, startup skills, we are very, very bad on doing that. Yeah. So is it because our researchers are not being prepared to do this? Like we are not being taught how to be innovative in day-to-day things. Is that the reason?
Yeah. It's like this. If you look at what happened, like can I show to you what is happening in Korea, Japan, where the blue area, more researchers are in the industry, then lesser researchers are in the university. This is what happened in Korea. So that now we do what we're supposed to do. What we're supposed to do is that we in the university should do fundamental. Then we transfer the fundamental to the researchers in the companies. They now have better technology to now innovate, create whatever our finding to now make it reality for commercialization. Sepatutnya, that is the ideal situation. And that's how Korea is able, like Samsung, LG, they will now go to Seoul University and say, okay, we need now to move this product to now level this, right? And therefore now I need your fundamental to drive my applied to the next level. And if you now go to Seoul, that's why I talked to all the professors there, that's what they do. They do what they do best, which is fundamental. Tapi in Malaysia, because the system is not there, the researcher in the business sector is only 21%. So what do you expect? The company expect us to do everything, RDC, and that we are not trained for that. We should be the one, because we are not involved in the commercialization of that product. That's why we don't even know what is the latest technology. So, and you look at our universities now with our inability to make our lab to become tip-top and whatnot, so it is also not in line and aligned real time to what the industry is now moving big time, because they need to compete with the real world. So that's why, as I said, the system landscape in the country needs to change. Then only perhaps we will see a better better result. And the other thing, perhaps also KPI is not about how many percent commercialization do you have for the university. It should be how many percent collaboration you have that can move licensing of the product to now go to the industry. Because what's wrong with becoming just an inventor? We still get money and royalty for that. But of course, our lawyers in the university will now prevent. So no, intellectual property must belong to the university. Hello, this is the time for us to think. It is, if we now work with the industry, the patent belongs to them, but we are the inventor, they will make sure they commercialize, right? And why not we write the ball game, because then that means we also get the royalty, the university gets a cut of the royalty, the lecturers get cut royalty, and the company who has that will make sure it flies, because otherwise why would they invest in that product? So you see what I'm trying to say? It requires also the whole ecosystem. Even our lawyers in the university also have to rethink. Our university companies also have to rethink about how now should collaboration. It sometimes it's just about that stop the company from wanting to work with a university, you know. They have no problem with the researcher, but they have problem with our legality. Marah lawyer ni, tapi boleh faham juga.
Dato', the next question would be, how does the actual amount of money invested by Malaysia in R&D compared to the amount actually invested by, let's say, Singapore, rather than the percentage of money that they invest?
Yeah, you want to talk about actual amount. How do I talk about actual amount? When we are in ringgit, and Singapore is 3 times already, right? Itu baru Singapore Sing, belum lagi USD. Come on, this question. At the end of the day, we are now only 1.04. Good kita. It's only 1.04. No matter what you slice lah, sama ada ringgit ke USD ke, 1.04 compared to Sing 3.25%, good, that has now moved into R&D. There is no comparison. The amount of money there is tremendous compared to the amount of money that we have, right? So itu pun hashtag syukur selalu whoever is asking this question. For a long time, during the time when I was a researcher, country is at 0.66, 0.67 in terms of the percentage good that now goes into R&D. What? 0.6. It's only about 3 or 4 years back that we went up to 1.4%, right? Itu pun hashtag syukur selalu. You know why? Because for investors to come in and collaborate with us, the first thing they say, is the country serious about R&D? So what is a measurement to say that the country is serious is the amount of good that the country puts in, and 1% is the baseline. So we have 1.4, but post-COVID we now dropped to 1.04. Tapi still one. So you know, and I'm hoping that it doesn't go down any further than that. So at least it's there compared to the other countries in Southeast Asia. Tapi jangan compare. Vietnam is putting a lot more. China is putting a lot more. So tak payahlah tengok orang lain. Kita saja make sure we pray that we maintain at least in 1.04 or 1.4. But in the future, RMK 12, we are moving to 3.5. So I don't know whether we will ever achieve 3.5. It will be something that we look forward to, but as long as it move beyond 1.4, I'm happy.
Dato', this attendees, he wants you to share your experience with commercialization of your typhoid kit. How do you overcome the challenges to make it success? Ni cerita lama. Cerita lama,
and this one will take another hour for commercialization. This is not the talk for it, because I think better to be specific regarding what is the commercialization story that you want me to say. Perhaps I can talk at another session about the pitfalls, the issues, the challenges for commercialization of R&D. But I think we have other questions perhaps. But if the gentleman or lady can ask me specific tentang pengkomersialan tadi, I will answer. Right? Kalau tidak, it's a 1 hour lecture on what.
Yeah. So Dato', please comment on the status of digital healthcare in Malaysia.
Digital healthcare in Malaysia dah mula. I think what I didn't show was some of the initiatives that is already done on digital healthcare. I think data raya pun dah ada by MOH untuk ni. So that is already a beginning. Tapi dia hanya Ministry of Health. Dia tidak terlibat dengan the teaching hospitals that we have. So our teaching hospitals still have our own database. So, you know, in a way, it is possible also from the data raya yang ada from MOH to now start doing predictability analysis, etc., etc. Right. What we want, however, is that the ability to share the information so that our researchers can now analyze actually with all that COVID data that we have, we can hopefully analyze and do a better prediction. A lot more R&D can be done, you know, that I think Ministry of Health pun mungkin cannot cope, but with the data that they have, they will now allow us now to do further studies. So that is what we have been imploring for Ministry of Health to share the data. And that's why, as far as academy, we have launched the Malaysian Open Science Platform so that this data that can be shared can be shared. But you know, the funny part is that we get our data from Johns Hopkins. Okay, we cannot get from Ministry of Health, but you know, Johns Hopkins collect everybody in the world near COVID data, and we all go to Johns Hopkins to get our data. That is the irony of it all. I think things have got to change lah. For
Senang je, senang. You just click.
Yeah.
Dato', one question from Zulkifli saying that, do you think that we have enough talent or expertise to support the My STIE 10-10 strategy? Do we have enough talent or expertise?
Let me put you this way. Depend on the 10 technologies that I'm talking about. Banyak technology, we still need people, we still have a vacuum, we still need. And that's why my 1010 STIE was meant for RMK 12. And in fact, this, as we are saying, whenever they look at it, this is a motherboard for 10-year or 20-year plan. This is not a motherboard for 5-year plan. We need to now say, okay, if this is the technologies that's going to drive the world in the future, Malaysia cannot be left behind. And so if we are lacking in 5G, we are lacking in sensor technology or whatever, this is the time we send our ASTS or our future pensyarah or whatever to now, and also for parents to now say, okay, okay, I'm going to send my child to now do this. Otherwise we come back doctor, lawyer, engineer and the usual lah. Same old. So macam mati akai, you know what to do next. But disruptive technology is going to change all that. And what we study today is going to be blasé 3 years from now. So I think it's very important to have this 10-10 as a guide. This is the other thing that I forgot to tell you. When we do all this policy, we forgot about the grand master plan of what is the kind of HR or the talent that we need for the country. And you know why? Because the industry master plan and the STI master plan and the higher education master plan is all done in silo. Somebody has to put all these brains together and just say, hello, if this is the industry master plan, this is the way we want to go forward. This is the motherboard as told by 1010 STIE. Plan your higher education such that now we offer a program that is now more relevant so that budak now can come in and they get a job, for God's sake. If they are now doing things that the industry is going to the left and going to the right, then how are we going to get the jobs for them? And we keep on saying, industry keep on bashing us and say, we are not real, we are not realistic. That's why I say at the end of the day, this is the problem when we work in silo. We need now to blend. That's why I say at the academy now, when we now want to move the RDC landscape for the country, if possible, this is something new we want to do, then we will now read all this master plan and we will make sure that they jive in order to change the landscape. Because nak suruh seorang-seorang tukar ni memang susah. Perhaps the new one that comes in now, like the 1010 STIE. 1010 STIE is cross-cutting. All ministries just have to follow. It's cross. That's why we are going now more than 70 and 70 engagements to various ministries, etc., to now get buy-in, to get understanding. So whoever gave the KPI that says, what do you call it? Markah for dapat some policy paper being approved. Hello, think again. that is rubbish, because 70 engagement dengan minister, prime minister, still you have to work a lot harder. Now that I'm president, I have to go through all this. I say forget about that KPI or impact policy paper. You need to go through a hell of a lot before you finally see an outcome and being institutionalized in this country. But it's close, 10-10 STIE. As long as it gets into the budget, it gets into the RMK12, it will be institutionalized, insyaAllah.
Lagi soalan lah, Datuk. Okay, they say that researchers are expected to commercialize our patent and research, and we are asked to come up with a market projection and things like that. So the main issue is that we are not trained to do such thing. So we need expert or industry to do it. So we can focus on research and innovation. What do you think?
Memanglah, what I said already. Well, our job is to do fundamental, not to do all this business plan. And the thing is, this business plan should have been done by our company. Kan? It should be done by our company. Kita and our company needs to talk to us and how to create the business plan. But because our company don't understand science,
takutlah nak cakap.
Buat from scratch. We do everything, right? That's why I said part of my journey is that I end up being a technopreneur. I am a lecturer, I am a dean, I am whatever, but I also end up to be a technopreneur. I have to learn the business from T0 to finally the product into the market, into the international market, etc., etc. Those, I hope lah, the future generation don't have to go through what I have gone through. But it made me a better person. I understand the business well. I can talk as if I understand business because there's a lot that you need to understand. So even if you have commercialized you have licensed the product, you don't see the first dollar yet. You have to now wait to 3 or 4 years before you see the first dollar. So it's still a long and bumpy road. Okay, that's what I have to say.
So, okay, another thing is that what are your recommendations pertaining the key new or revised KPI for academics in university in view of the current pandemic situation? Dah kena jadi VC balik.
Tak mau komen. That one is beyond me, I think, because I think all VC also have to work in line dengan what KPT wants. So that's why I say I tak mau comment on that. But as far as what we are saying is that now it has to be impact driven, and a lot of things now needs to change. And if the VC nampak tak ada masalah untuk this is the KPI that you need to satisfy as far as the universities are concerned, but each university ada their own prerogative to make that change. And this is the wisdom that now calls upon for each TNC PNI to bring forward to the VC about how now UKM is going to be different, how now USM is going to be different, how UTM is going to be different. Kan? So that, I mean, apa yang telah diberi oleh KPT, okay, but each university can have the freedom, autonomy to now be able to set what is going to be unique about that university, right?
So another question, can you give another thought specific to food and water in the near future? Food and water pula dah.
InsyaAllah. Can. In fact, yeah, because in fact, that is I think if the academy people are listening, this is what we have to do. Bila defense panggil, can you show me 10-10 in relation to defense? So we do that. Agriculture panggil, can you show me again for food and seed? Okay, we do that. Then halal HDC, okay, this is what we do. Now I'm talking to fashion. So now fashion industry, this is how my STIE can now help. Yes, it can be done. Nasib baik si engineer ni tak minta, because smart manufacturing is another way forward as well. You know, in the health, memang I boleh deep dive in health because that one will be separate issue altogether for just the medical faculty. So memanglah for every area we try to accommodate so that you can see and relevancy of 10-10. Like I said tadi, it doesn't have to be part and parcel of the socio-economy, like halal economy, and yet you see it touch base with a lot of these things. And the other one that does exactly macam halal is blue economy. Blue economy also touch base with a lot of this niche area. So the creativity is yours as a researcher. How now do you see already the 10 technologies that's the one that is going to move forward. Now which sector, that's up to you. You can choose, as I said, all the sectors, or you can choose to concentrate on one sector and then move from there.
Datuk, last question lah from me. Tadi Datuk tunjuk health services, agriculture, construction, all the textile are all lagats. And tapi kita among the best to, the best health
content
for COVID.
We are measuring knowledge content. In terms of health service, kita ada menang a lot of global awards, etc. And of course, the way we manage COVID, we are like number 5 in the world, so that one is something else. But knowledge content, maknanya now to move precision, that will be knowledge content, precision medicine. Kedua, robot assisted surgery, that is another knowledge content. We don't have that, right? So we need to move towards that kind. That barulah the knowledge content is there. So in terms of knowledge-based economy, we need to go there. Medical devices also, we need to now move. So this is what we mean. Lagat here is in terms of knowledge content in order to be able to drive innovation economy.
Lambat lagi tak nak jadi pre-settled health service kita?
When you are lagat, it will take some time. But the thing is, if now we use the 10-10 STIE, we are hoping that within 7 to 10 years, we should now move to pay settle. That is the whole arena of, because now it gives you focus. Instead of caca marba just doing whatever you want, now it gives you focus. Okay, this is where we want to move. And you see, when I show you all these things, actually is like a clue. You can work from there and then you can make it better. But this has been studied so that we can now put as a suggestion. It's not a prescription, like I said, it's a suggestion. So, but for some people, tak payah think banyak-banyak. So you just take from there as a contoh to now be able to use as a model system to now create something on your own.
Thank you so much, Datuk Asma, for the kind
ada virtualization tadi, ada spesifik soalan?
Ada dekat chatting ni tak ada. I think Prof Zaki is here.
Yeah, Prof Zaki, what does he want?
What does he want? He just say that he worked with you last time, Taifi Dot. Is that Prof Zaki? Also my teacher. I think nothing else. I think there's no more questions. Thank you so much, Datuk Asma, for your kind time and spending time for us. Oh, sejam lebih ni. Thank you so much. Probably we could call you again on the halal thing. And then we will update again with everybody. Thank you for your kind. Oh, ramai nak tunggu sampai habis ni.
Okay,
stay safe, everyone. Okay, so take care. Stay safe.
Right, take care, everybody. Stay safe.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Can I boil them water?
Huh?